Have you ever thought about the first person you'd like to see in heaven? I mean, after the Lord. I have, and I want to tell you who it is. It's the 5th of March, 2021, and this is Thomas Ramundo with this week's Friday Focus on Faith. And the first person I want to see in heaven is the other Thomas Ramundo, Thomas Sr., Big Tom, they called him, my dad. You see, I can hardly wait to tell him I'm sorry. I'm sorry that growing up, there were times I was such a wise guy and know-it-all. Tell him it took me a long time, but the older I got, the smarter I realized he was. And I'm sorry I never told him that. Tell him I'm sorry I did not realize he was doing the best he could. And I needed to become a parent myself to see just how hard it is to get this dad gig right. Tell him I'm sorry that after I hit those adolescent years, I sometimes judged him so harshly, that I just wasn't smart enough to see that, like anybody, he had his own baggage or demons or whatever you want to call it. So what I saw as his warts were actually his wounds. What I considered his blemishes were really his bruises. I'll tell him I'm sorry there were times it annoyed me that people, I mean everybody we knew, loved him and loved being around him, when what I should have been doing was trying to pick up what it was about the way he treated people that made them want to be around him. And I'm sorry, I'll tell him that I never said thanks for a whole bunch of things I just took for granted. One more thing. I'll tell him I'm sorry that at the end of that Christmas time visit, when my wife and kids and I were saying goodbye, as I stood in the doorway, I had the strongest impulse to give him a big hug. But I resisted that impulse, just waved, and we were on our way. If only I had known it was the last time I would ever see him. He died unexpectedly a few days later. Need I even make the application? Is there somebody you need to say some things to before it's too late? By the way, I suppose in heaven, none of that'll matter. Dad won't be looking for any apologies, and I've already asked God to forgive me for that stuff. And I've forgiven myself, mostly. But I think I'll say those things to Dad anyway, right after I give him that big hug that's been a long time coming.